Hello and welcome to part 5 of our V8 Scorpion build. As you can see, I've got all the wiring done now. It just needs a little bit of a tidy up and we'll be good to go. Did somebody say wiring? What I'd like to talk to you about is thermo fans. There's plenty of different thermo fans you can buy and different ways of mounting them. So I'd just like to go over mounting and the watts and the power output of various fans. When you buy your thermo fans, sometimes you're lucky enough to have the wattage of the thermo fan already written on there for you. But I'll get to the watts in a moment. The other thing that you get with these thermo fans is the mounting kit to mount them up. Now these poke through the fan and through your radiator, and you put a cap on the other side. I just want to show you the proper use, how to use these correctly. So this is how you use these. So I've got a selection of different fans here. This is one that I've just bought off eBay. It says that it's a 90 watt fan. But if you have a close look here, you can see that the motor is sort of like sunk down inside there. This fan I bought off Roadstar Auto Parts. It's labelled as a 130 watt fan, and you can see the motor's quite a bit thicker here. So I have no doubt that this actually is a more powerful motor. The other thing is, of course, is that the wires going to it, to this one, are much thicker than this one here. So you really want to put on the biggest wattage fan that you can buy. So I think these will work really well. I also have a Maradyne fan here. And you want to talk about big motors, have a look how big this is. This is huge, probably way more than what you need for one of these cars. The problem with the Maradyne fans is that they are eye-wateringly expensive. This is about a $330 fan as opposed to $44. So I think this will work really well. So next thing I'm going to show you is how we mount them up on the radiator. All right, so as I was demonstrated with these things, do not stab your radiator with these. All you're going to do is ruin your radiator, so don't use those. The best way to mount the radiator, in my opinion, aluminium strip. This is just a piece of aluminium angle. It's 20 by 25, and as you can see on this one here, we've just mounted the fans to that, bolted the fans in, and then I'll weld these directly onto the side tanks. So that gives you a real good solid mounting without hurting the core of the radiator. Okay. All right, I've got a friend here, Darren, who's going to play daredevil and hold these fans for me. I realise this is a very subjective test, but we're just going to run these fans up and just see what sort of air they blow. I'm just running them with a battery charger here. Yeah, that's blowing a moderate amount of air. So that's the 90 watt fan. So now we'll swap to the 130. Oh, definitely noticeably different. There's a lot of air coming out of that one. And this time we'll go to the big granddaddy, the expensive fan. This is the Maradyne fan. This is a $300 fan, so it's a bit of a giant of a thing. Let's see if it's worth the money. Whoa! That's really powering on. Probably even more than what we need. But if you've got the money, if you can invest in the Maradyne fan, it's probably the one to have. At some stage when you're modifying your car, you're going to pull the struts out and you're going to have to undo this big nut. Some of them are really, really tight, some not so bad. It's 8-sided and you're not going to have a spanner for it. Well, don't worry, nobody's got a spanner for it. There is a couple of ways to do it, and what I've seen people do is get the chisel out and the hammer and they start beating the crap out of it. Then you end up with all cuts and bruises in it and everything. That's a pretty ugly way to do it. there is a simpler way, and that is to just simply put the strut in the vise by the nut. Just nip the vise up there on the nut. Doesn't have to be super tight, just like that. And actually, I'll just move that around, just 1, 2, just for the camera angle. Then take a piece of pipe, put it on the end of the stub axle. There we go. Now, as tight as that was, that's pretty easy to undo just by holding it in the vise. Now, when you are undoing this could be a wet leg, so you're going to have oil starting to run out of it. So be careful when you get right to the end of the threads, otherwise you're going to have oil all over the floor. Now I know this one isn't a wet leg, this is a strut insert, so there's no problem with it at all. So that's an easy way to get it out. Motor and gearbox is finally back in the car. The problem was, I had to wait 4 weeks for the converter to get reconditioned. So that was a real hold up for us. Anyway, it's done. Motor box in the car, we'll put the extractors on. Later today I'll put the rest of the exhaust system on and so forth. Most of the wiring is done, we've still got a little bit of termination to do and so forth, but we're really getting on with it now. But that's about it for this particular video. In the next one, we should be ready to fire the motor up. So with any luck, next time you see this, it'll actually be running. So once again, thanks for tuning in.